So I don't know if on this book together.
Yes, Sandra, nice to meet you. You are registered for the event?
Huh?
Registered for the event?
Yeah.
Line in Luma?
What?
Luma link. Have you seen this thing?
Yeah.
You registered, so can I see that too? If possible, just to see. Okay, we're going to start. Mhm. I'll have you on the screen. Perfect. Let's do this. Okay. Yeah. Stand. Okay.
If you have no plans for after the event, I can take to a place where they have a lot of food. I could start.
Perfect. Yeah, sure. Okay, let's start. So we are going to start the event like a little bit. Hi everyone. So hope you guys can see me. Hi everyone. So this is Gokul. We're from Climate Entertainment, and we are going to. Where's my phone? Okay. Perfect. So today we are going to start the session of the missing dimension of climate and peace situations. What is happening? Violence and environmental issues that is caused by wars across the globe. So as of a start, we have been working on this since like last year. Last year at SB60, we were like here for the SB60, and then. Thank you. And once that, after SB60, we went to Ukraine and we did a movie on the situation of how the war is affecting climate change. So I'll just show a brief of what we did at Ukraine in this video, which was showcased once in Ukraine as well. So, okay, just we will go ahead and play the video. This was the video that we made. So I had to go into Ukraine to take a video of SB60, which we did from Flixbus. It was a long journey, also a little bit scary as well for me. So they did this mostly. We wanted to like showcase the youth participation in climate affairs and also take it forward into the missing dimensions as well. One thing. Also, we wanted to support want to showcase what was happening as climate entertainment is the media a media organization. We want to put focus on situations like this, like where media is the only way we can like bridge the gap, like showcase what is happening, and also yeah. So I'll just go a little bit further on this part, like share this briefly, because we have a lot of other speakers online as well. So there. Uh, this was really, really scary situation that I had to face myself. I had like friends, in like Friday for Future, another organization on ground, supporting how, like we had unit 20 organizations supporting us to see what are the main issues that are happening on climate and our situation was. So, and then we went to the forest areas where we were like mm, seeing what are the situations of the environmental damage that was caused by the war, debris and all that stuff. So just show you. So recently, I was in Europe, in Belgium. So one of the one of the oldest forests of Europe was in Belgium as well, and its extensions are in Ukraine as well. So it's an interesting fact that I want to share. But this is the situations that we made like over there to see. Also, there was a lot of landmines, debris. Forward. Uh, So going forward, we interviewed a lot of people around what was situations and some of the uh, people working in climate affairs and also people on the ground and youth activists. Because youth activists from these countries, it's like really difficult for them to come to UN events and to share their stories. Uh, Guys, can you hear me now? Because we are trying to figure out the audio part.
We can listen at you, but we cannot hear the video.
Okay, we can hear you, but okay, the video, it is a little bit complicated because of the setups. Thank you, Roberto.
Just make sure that when you share screen, you allow audio too. It's like an output settings. It's like real quick.
Okay. Question something, stop sharing. Okay, let's try it. Let's fix this. Or else we can go with the CC. You guys can read the CC, right?
Yes, we can read the CC, but we cannot listen
Yeah, but
to you.
then we can go ahead, no problem. Let's go. Because I'm going to, I will explain a little bit on my audio then, because I know this more than what they are going to say. Okay. So yeah, until they are fixing it, let me go through it a little bit. So after that, we had like the talk with the UNFCCC, one of the IPCC, sorry, IPCC is one of the chief scientists on ground, and we had like we'll talk with her about what was happening, and she was mentioning what war is doing. Also, some of the impacts were like people making like the solar panels on the rooftops. That was something like rebuilding, which was rebuilding green, was happening as well. So going forward on that part, it was really amazing to see as well. So the main thing right now is the fossil fuel things, which is funding this, and also the emissions, and also the degradation of the environment, and also the minefields and other things that is being involved in this whole process of war, which is like taking us behind schedule of our goals for like net zero and all that other stuff that we are trying to achieve. Not net zero, but still by like the climate neutral climate system that we want to achieve, because 1.5 is like we wanted to make it happen. And okay, I think yeah, okay, perfect. Our technical team is
Ihor and I took the metro to meet another friend,
Can you hear this
Anastasia, a member of Extinction Rebellion Ukraine. We were introduced through Ihor, and I was eager to hear her perspective on the crisis. Our destination, though, was a sober, a kids' sports center destroyed by a Russian missile. Anastasia met us on her bike, waving through the fractured streets as resilient as the city itself. In front of the sports center, a group of children played football outside. Their laughter contrasted with the shattered structure behind them. A bittersweet scene of life persisting in the shadows of destruction.
Hi everyone, so my friend Ihor from Fridays Future connected me with Anastasia from Extinction Rebellion, Ukraine. So we want to talk to her about how things happen here. You can see the destruction here. So what's the situation over here?
Right now we stand in front of a kids' sports center destroyed by a Russian missile a couple of months ago. Russia is one of the top 3 global producers of oil and gas, and significant parts of the funding for this war come from countries buying coal, oil and gas from Russia. If we continue to base the economy on dirty fossil fuels from which authoritarian regimes feed and rise, violence and brutal wars will continue to be allowed around the world, and the climate crisis will intensify. The whole world must unite against fossil fuels, dictators, and wars.
Anastasia's words echoed a harsh truth: the connection between our energy choices and the power structures that sustained conflict. Her plea wasn't just for Ukraine, but for all of. And going forward, we had the IPCC chair, and one of the IPCC scientists, chief scientist, who was from Ukraine, who was speaking about how the situation of war was affecting.
Because with climate change and with
Particularly adaptation and climate change, and then they had this amazing call for resilience solar panels coming in, and then we went to meet one of our youth delegates, which we met at Koi, and she was sharing about how the traumatic mental impacts of war was happening to the children and the people on ground, because every day you will be listening to air alarm and running to a bunker for safety. So that was like really concerning, not just for animals but also like for humans as well. There was also there was an issue of the environmental issues with the Chernobyl as well, which was taken out because of the invasion of that area.
And what are their survival moments, and for that reason this area now also how to help that.
You guys can go and read about that, review the complete thing, because we don't have enough time to just show the thing, the complete thing. It's like there's a lot happening. The other situation was on the protected areas, and also the environmental threat to the ecology and all that stuff was really one thing which happened was the through the waters of the river, it was reaching to the Black Sea as well, so which was toxic materials like reaching that region, which is affecting other countries in that region as well. That was something we wanted to highlight, and mental issues situation. And this is the a monument of friendship, and it is something like represents like which we wanted to fix and make things peaceful again for everyone from the region. So that was my trip to Ukraine through Flixbus, and then we had to go back home. It was like a really scary journey for me, but going back, it was like really hard. There was a lot of security checks, and like a male person from Ukraine cannot go out of Ukraine. So Ihor and other people are like who are climate activists cannot reach go out. So that is also another situational issue as well because of wars happening. So I went to the Doctors Without Borders after that to talk to the people over there, and there were like a lot of insight from their side as well. So mostly you should just go ahead, watch the video. So for now,
and learn more about how we can solve this issue of war across the world. For now, just let's go for our panelists who speaking here as well, so that we can listen to the recent updates on what is happening on ground now, because this movie was taken 2 years before, and now there's like a lot of changes happening, and this I want to like get people to know more about that. So let's hello guys, can you see me now? Okay, perfect. So yeah, perfect. So let's change this to speaker mode. Remove this thing. Wait. Yeah, you don't need this thing. You need to stop sharing. Yeah, stop sharing. Just change for this one. Okay. So guys, we have like a panel discussion on to like not a panel discussion, but to share the more recent updates, what is happening. So I would like to invite Ihor to share more about what is the current situation happening in Ukraine. So he was one of our main organizer for the movie project, and also what was the situation. Hi Ihor, can you hear me? Hello Ihor. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Can you turn on the camera and come live?
Yes, I tried to.
Perfect.
Turn on.
Yeah. I cannot see you.
Yes, I tried to fix the bug.
I cannot see you, Ihor. Hello.
Hello. I can see you.
Something. Okay, now I can see you. Yeah, perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah. Can you be a little bit louder?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for invitation, Gokul. Thank you for this cool event. And about if you say about Ukraine, we have war for 12 years, and since occupation of Crimea, and for 5 years since a full-scale invasion. Nowadays, unfortunately, war is part of our day-to-day life, and every day Russian imperialists kill our civilians and soldiers, and we have a good day if they kill minimum of civilians, unfortunately. And also, this war make a big influence on climate crisis all over the world, and that's why we, besides war, we as climate activists continue our everyday work to show how this war make influence on all over the world, and explain how we can fix this situation, because Russia make this war only because money from fossil fuels, and at the same time they make use fossil fuels to spoil our air, our nature, our planet, and make climate crisis more and more dangerous for our lives. And since beginning of full-scale invasion, our activism not became more active and became more global, because people from all over the world were interested why the temperature in the country became higher, why there are different climate catastrophes all over the world, and we explain that it's make a direct influence between the buy of Russian fossil fuels and decrease of temperature in your country, and also it's we have two bad scenarios of our future. One bad scenario is nuclear war, and another big scenario, bad scenario is slow and climate crisis, which make bad influence on our lives. Although no matter how what your country and what your continent and for sure how we what our
Hi,
lives.
Ihor, can you let share a little bit of about the effects of war on the environment? Like I have seen some of the stories saying about collecting the debris and all that stuff.
Yes,
So
I can show. One of the effect of climate crisis is that the temperature in our winter became higher, and when Putin tried to freeze Ukrainian civilians in winter, he couldn't do this because of spoiling the air became temperature higher. That's why we have winters with maximum 7 degrees Celsius minus. But in the previous years, we have more severe winters like at minus 20 degrees Celsius with snow and with other winter atmosphere. And that's why at the same time climate crisis make bad for our nature, but at the same time it protect us from Russian imperialists and from Russian attacks. And I can show you some interesting things. We call them war trophy. Is parts of Russian weapons I collect on the streets of Kiev and Kiev regions. And one of these things is tank projectile, as you can see.
yeah.
As you can see,
Okay.
it was. My friends found it in Kiev region in 2022 from the tank, which was destroyed by Ukrainian army. And another thing is a tail of Russian cruise missile called Caliber. It's cost $6.5 million, one rocket, and during these 5 years, Russia attacked Ukraine for so many times that Kiev is the biggest city in the world history, which was attacked by rockets in the world history. And all of those rockets and all those weapons were bought by money from Russian fossil fuels. That's why if you want to stop this war, we must stop this fossil fuel machine with all buying of Russian fossil fuels and fossil fuels from other authoritarian regimes, because they can make wars all over the world only because of they have money. If they don't have money, they don't make war and don't make a climate crisis at the same time.
That is something really that we need to work on to make the situation better for everyone. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And
also as the Indian, I will say that war in Ukraine is not just local war; it's part of World War III, and only one place of World War III. And if we don't stop these authoritarian regimes, we will have very bad problems in the nearest future. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ihor, for the insight on what is happening and how the impact is like the impact of war on environment. So I just have a question, like how is the cleanup right now going? Is it like just civilians or the government involvement, or how dangerous it is? to go into these places?
It's in general, it's not so dangerous to come to Ukraine because Russian have a big problems with the economy and their budget. That's why they don't use as much cruise missiles and drones Shaheds against Ukraine. And so, if you will have possibility to go to Ukraine, please welcome. I can show you some interesting place in Kiev and maybe in other regions of Kiev. So welcome to Ukraine.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ihor, for your response and for being active part of this call. And now let's go to Nidhi from UN-CRIS to share about what is the update on like what they are working on climate and peace. And so I would like to give the floor to her to share about more about situation over there. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Gokul, for organizing this discussion on a very interconnected nexus, and that is relatively under-reflected in the global discussions on climate action, on environmental security and sustainability itself. So I think conflict and crisis is very central to geopolitical situation now, the geopolitical volatility, that is multiple conflicts that we are witnessing in multiple parts of the world, be it Middle East. The Russia-Ukraine conflict has been there for a while now. The Gaza-Palestine conflict that has claimed a lot of life has pushed back sustainable development goals to many years backwards rather than forward. And I think that kind of this kind of interconnectedness in the conflict and its cascading impacts on human well-being through loss of food security, loss of water security, and also air pollution that can have all these factors can have a lot of health burden. I've also pasted 2 reports in the chat based on our work in Gaza, and we reported from the data that we are getting from ground. And as a colleague from Ukraine pointed out, in the midst of the conflict, it's very difficult to cast a picture of what is happening in terms of what is the situation on the water supply, water provisions, in terms of the health needs, because the systems are disturbed. And in the recent, I will also share that link in the chat. In the recent media discourse, we looked at the environmental disaster that is caused by the Iranian conflict between the tri-party conflict between the US, Israel, and Iran. The Hormuz Strait in particular. There are a lot of around 300 environmental destruction or damaging episodes have been reported so far. The oil spills, the ammunition related heavy metal legacies that will be part of the coastal and the marine ecosystem. And please note the fundamental fact that hundreds and millions of people depend on the desalinization process for their fundamental right to drinking water, to the water to sanitation needs. And when you have this so many oil spills, debris of the weapons in the coastal waters where the desalinization plants are also operating, they make these fundamental systems so vulnerable. So I think the absorption of these heavy metals by the marine biodiversity, which also becomes a part of the food chain. We have noted a lot of research that has shown that how multiple parts of the world experienced food security crisis because of the supply chain disruption of the grain from Ukraine. So Egypt was sanctioning food and ration for the past years because they are not able to get that supply or input of basic fundamental grain to make bread. So you can see a conflict is happening somewhere and its cascading impacts are being noted in other parts of the world. We're also doing a lot of work in the Congo Basin. Because the Congo Basin and the Central African region is also a seat of conflict and volatility, especially the Lake Chad region, which is now associated to a big violent group, Boko Haram. But Boko Haram is a result of years and decades of of lack of water security, lack of livelihood for income generation, lack of employment for youth. And so when we see that when environmental crisis, conflict, and the cascading impacts on human well-being operate, the direct and the indirect impacts are multiple and many, and sometimes it takes a long time to see those discussions as a part of important dialogues like the climate COPs or high-level political forum of the United Nations. Two more points I will make before I leave the time for other panelists and all the experts that are present with us today. That the health impact of the three main planetary crises, that is biodiversity loss, impacts of climate change, and pollution, are evident. The research has proven it. There's enough information. There is enough data. The knowledge is also becoming evident amid research scholars, amid policymakers, and all the other stakeholders. And however, we are still to link this to the direct impact on the physical health, the health burdens of these crises, but also on the mental health and psychosocial well-being. So I was glad to see the mention of well-being in your session note, Gokul. Thanks for doing that, because well-being is very central to ensuring that we have food security, we have environmental security, we have water security, and we have human security as the result. So all this interconnectedness we need to discuss as many times and when and where possible. So thanks for making this arrangement possible. And we need to take this message to all such big forums, and we hope to see you, some of you or all of you at the COP, so that climate action agenda becomes the water action agenda. It also becomes the health action agenda, and vice versa. And this interconnectedness, we just don't have to see in science. We also have to see in policy and policy making, and how action agenda is set, and how financial distribution happens across implementation of such agenda. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us today and sharing your insights. Looking forward to more insights from our fellow colleagues on the screen. Thank you so much, Gokul.
Thank you so much, Nidhi, for joining, and thanks for the really good insights on how UNU is doing and how you are seeing this from your perspective, from research perspective, and also how like guiding us on like how climate activists on how can we pursue this political leaders to make this change happen. So thank you so much for joining in today, and thank you so much for the space here, like the SLYCAN Trust for giving us the space. Actually, they are providing us with this space to organize the event, and also the stage gallery, which is also supporting us with this space to do the event. So right now, okay, I'll just go ahead for the next speaker because we are not having enough time now. It's like 6:39. So I would like to give the floor to Mahross, then we'll go to Sakshi. So Mahross is from Chad, and as the next as a speaker from the African region, he has a lot of insights on how they are going to address peace in the climate framework and also in the sustainable development goals. So over to you, Mahross.
Thank you, Gokul, and thank you for all the panelists. It was an amazing panel. I would like just to share some updates from our region, from Chad, and especially from the Lake Chad region, as mentioned by the speaker before me. Right now, the situation in Lake Chad is critical. People are dying. People are losing lands. 3 weeks ago, we lost more than 100 people because of Boko Haram, as mentioned before. And those people, when they left the region, they don't have anywhere to go. So they become climate refugees. With all this livestock that they have to look for new land, new life, without any perspective with the climate challenges that we are facing now. Right now, more than 1 million people, more than 1 million people was affected by this war, and they are now they left the region. Some of them went to somewhere there is no access to water for the livestock. There is no access to water for human being. There is no life. the agriculture cannot grow because the desert is also on growing, and there is no perspective for those people. So the war situation is really linked with climate. Also, something very important happening now in Chad and in the Lake Chad region, especially those people, those terrorists, Boko Haram, they are creating so many problems in this region, and now people don't have access to clean water. These people don't have access to clean water for the livestock, and they don't have anything to live without their animals, without their lands. So also the situation of the climate change is not helping us, is not helping them. So the local community are suffering, are struggling because of climate, because of war, because of conflicts. So the conflict situation, the wars, is really something we have to take seriously. We have to work on. We have to advocate for it. We cannot fight against terrorists alone. We cannot. We cannot fight against climate change alone. We need you. We need your support. We need your advocacy in the international level. Those people don't have the opportunity to talk about their situation. They don't have the opportunity to explain, to talk about their story. So we have to be their advocate. We have to talk by them, their side, to really bring the international community to have eyes on those people, to help them. Those refugees who don't have access to water, those refugees who cannot do agriculture because of a lack of water, because of desertification and so on. So we need really to work hard to advocate more than that, to stop that war, to stop that terrorism in the world, especially in Africa, in Europe, and everywhere. And I will stop by here. I have so much to share, but I will stop here for now as we don't have enough time, and I will come back in it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mahross, for sharing the insight from African region, especially Chad, and what is happening over there. The main things that I would like to highlight from my side, I felt like was there's a lack of international advocacy and support on like how can this be from different aspects like climate affairs, SDGs, and also the high level political forums on how can the situations be more neutralized, and also how can we coexist together so that we get our sustainable development goals done. So thank you so much, Mahross, for joining. Now I would like to give the floor to Sakshi. So she is working as one of the peace advocate for Yango in Yango and other spaces in India as well. So we can have a perspective of the Indian side and also the Asian side as well. Also, she's been working with Yango and also some other organizations on locally as well. So Sakshi, are you here?
Thank you, Gokul. Am I audible to you all?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are belong and you are joining from. And kudos to those who have made it to Bonn. And I am really glad and thankful to Gokul and the whole team for organizing such a commendable thematic session to be discussed upon during the SB. And yeah, allow me to begin with very simple question when we to make a ice break on this part, that when this because every panel member has shared their own perspective on different from different region, from different domain, to make them understand what is the linkages between the war or conflict and the environmental loss. Honestly, from my experience, I have had the similar and most, I would say that the different viewpoint on those issues. Because when a war ends, what remains? When we question that, then most people think of ceasefires, then peace treaty and agreement that we always see from the news reports and the news channels. and political state settlements and the statements that has been already been released after the ceasefire. But when we go back and check the ground reality, we can hear that rivers are contaminated then by chemicals and fuels. Then agricultural lands are rendered unusable. All of the where when we talk about wildlife displacement from the habitats that may never recover, these are the areas where the environment and the communities were forced to survive and have become the casualties of conflict. So I must say that the environment does not sit in the negotiating tables now. And when you go back to the on ground realities, then it's totally a different case. So those discussions of the climate actions and it continue to evolve, but this entire topic remains the one of the least discussed dimension of the climate crisis. I know I have a very little time to speak upon how these leakages would take a lead to further advancement, but I can also discuss upon we rarely speak about the military conflict, armed violences, and the geopolitical instability because of the environmental degradation. So I want to focus on the conflict, which is linked to the ecological foundations upon human security dependencies. So when you talk about the facts and when you check upon the UNEP report, then you will find out that the 40% of the internal conflict over the past 6 decades have linked to the natural resources. Forest, fresh waters, minerals, agricultural land. Every resources you will see are increasingly becoming both victims and drivers of conflict. But when you see the relationship between the climate and conflict, it's often misunderstood. So let's don't take it as otherwise and see as the act of multiplier, threat multiplier, rather than the otherwise. It really we have already accepted the fact in COP30 as well that climate change is now a threat multiplier for and taking an advancement to the climate security and the peace should be built up because of the war and the violences and the conflict that has been already taken place from the past 2 or maybe 4 to 5 years now. Nowhere this is the convergence more visible than in Africa, Sahel, or maybe the Lake Chad Basin, or the regions that has already been covered. Yes, and I'm really glad that all over the places which we have currently discussed on the climate security nexus, we also have to have a focus and limelight on the changing rainfall patterns, the droughts, desertification, and environmental degradation. It's currently eroded livelihood dependent on agriculture, fishing, patriotism, as well as the pastoralism. As resources, all of the areas become scarcer, the competition intensifies, and the governance challenge deepens, and insecurity find the fertile ground. So I really want to give the emphasis of how India sees it and what's the Indian youth perspective on an overall situation, because the security challenges of this 21st century will not be solved solely because of the military capabilities, which I always see to the Ministry of Defense and the other ministries when we talk about the military conflicts at the negotiation table. They will also be determined by our ability to protect the ecosystem, strengthen the resilience, and ensure that communities have the access to the resources necessary to live with dignity. So when we come to the Indian perspective, there are multiple lessons to be resonated deeply, and there are some lessons to be, copied, or you can say that to be, reflected, or maybe to be inspired from India and the thought process that India currently holds. So India really understands the climate security is not the environmental discussion only. It is a development challenge. We accept that. It is there is a public health challenge. We accept it. A food security challenge. We accept. Water security accepted. Increasingly, a national security challenge. We accepted. Past 1 month or two, we have released the national security challenges and we added this climate change as a national security threat. So ultimately, we are saying that climate security and climate, actions are must when we are talking about the national security. So domestically, we are accepting the fact that climate security is now a challenge and it is considered into the national security aspect. Now, whether it is extreme heat waves affecting the millions, water stays that impacting the agricultural communities, or the climate-induced disasters, all of the area, young Indians are experiencing the climate change. And when we talk about the young Indians, it's not the only one state or two state. India is covering the 28th state, and all of the 28th state is covering climate change from one area to another. When we talk about the Jammu and Kashmir, there are multiple military conflict, and that impacted the climate change as well. There are when you talk about the Odisha or Bihar or maybe West Bengal, then there are several river that has been flooded in the past 1 to 2 years, and that has created because of the military conflict from the ocean region, or maybe somewhere other on the that is going on in the Bay of Bengal or to the Arabian Sea. Ultimately, this brings me to perhaps the most important constituency in this conversation, that is young people, which we represent the young Indian and the young whole world of the young individuals represent. India is actually home to one of the largest youth population in the world. And from the demographic, I must be proud of as well that across the country, young people are not waiting for the solutions to arrive from the boardroom to the all the conferences halls. They're actually restoring the ecosystems, and they're actually leading the local adaptation initiatives. Gokul has already seen one or two examples, or Gokul is also leading on one of them. And there are multiple areas where all the representatives from the panel members have, they're also witnessed from their own regions that young people are now creating those ecosystems, as well as creating those ideas to make that happen, to combat those climate threats. And now we are doing it on more advanced level. So from advancing it to the climate research or supporting disaster response or maybe the biodiversity conservation. So yes, international collaborations and the climate negotiations is also happening because of the young individuals, I must say that. Yet the meaningful youth engagement require more than those kind of symbolic inclusion, because we just don't want the paperwork. We want the something to be happen in more quickly and more impactful manner, rather than just discussing one-on-one. Discussion should be the foundational pillar, but this cannot be the end of the journey. So yes, for the destination, you have to have the foundation pillar, but you really have to go to the journey to reach the destination as well. So they really want, I suggest, the young individuals want the opportunity to shape the outcomes. Participation without influence is not the inclusion, I must say that. Consultation without the decision-making power is not an engagement, and we really have to admit the fact. I am the consultant. I'm honestly speaking from my behalf that without all the decision-making power, my consultancy is like wastage of my own ideas and innovations. So ultimately, you really have to have the decision-making power as well, by hook or by crook. Maybe by the examinations or the entrances that you are currently working on, or maybe the governance system should have certain engagements where an Indians in government, I must say that they have the openings for the young professional and the consultant, and their important ideas and innovations are listed into the maybe through white paper, maybe through doctrines, or maybe through most policy legislation papers or something else. So yes, these are the areas where Indian youth and how Indian governance are working properly on the climate change and climate threats. Now, as someone working within the youth, peace and security and climate policy space, I have witnessed how young people are increasingly acting as bridge builders between the climate action and the peace building. Honestly, they understand something many institutions are only beginning to recognize, that climate resilience and peace are not separate agendas. We have seen the COP29, we had the peace. In COP30, we didn't include peace. We are also hoping that for the COP31, we will include peace in our agendas and not as a separate, but climate resilience and peace could be one separate agenda. Again, we are discussing all those issues, but we are not discussing we are discussing it separately. We are not discussing it into interlinkages between one and two. So climate action is the fundamental about protecting people, communities, and future. And peace building is fundamentally about creating the conditions in which those futures can thrive. So ladies and gentlemen, the environmental consequences of war don't disappear when we fighting stops. The smoke may clear, the headlines may fade, and the negotiations may conclude, but contaminated rivers continue to flow. Regarded and disregarded, I must say that degraded ecosystem continue to weaken the communities and lost the biodiversity. Long after the conflict end, because we have seen the Hiroshima Nagasaki bomb blasting, we have seen the several others, Russia-Ukraine war, we have seen the several other wars that is ongoing and that has already been taken place from the past 2 to 5 centuries. Environmental damages continue to shape the food security, public health, economic recovery, and social stability, which indirectly or directly linkages to the national harmony and national inclusion of growth. In many parts of the world, the true cost of conflict is basically the erosion of the natural system. I am not taking too much time as we gather perspective from Africa, Asia, Europe today. I believe we are being called to rethink what security means in the 21st century. Security should not be solely defined by military capabilities now, borders, or maybe geopolitical influence. It is actually increased by defined by the access of to water, food, energy, which is the basic necessities of a human being. So we really have to accept the fact. The challenge before us is not simply development and environmental stewards. So on an overall situation, I really want to convey my message that when a river is poisoned by violence or when a community is displaced by the combined pressure of climate change and insecurity, we are witnessing not only an environmental failure, but a security failure. And we have to admit the fact. And perhaps that is missing dimension we must carry forward from this discussion because it is missing from every agenda, every paperwork, every white paper, position paper, everywhere. The environment is not a silent bystander to conflict. It is often the first victim, the least protected, and the last to recover. So no resilience without nature and no secure future without environmental justice. And that's my take. Thank you.
Thank you, Sakshi, for that input. Thank you so much for the insight. So I would like to open the floor for more questions. One of our panelists is are not here, so and it's almost time. We have 2 more minutes left. So right now we are opening for more questions. Any questions over here or online? And also I would like to give the floor back to Ihor to share more about what he thought about this discussion, how the impact of this event will be going forward, and the main issues of war was on the affected pollutions on the rivers, how the people are being moved from one place to another, and also how the blast and all that producing more environmentally impactful things, and also the airspace being blocked, which creates more fossil fuels are being more burned, and also other lot other issues that which is happening because of war, which is leading to getting impacts on climate and the security as well. So, and I would like to ask one question to all of you guys. How can the youth be the bridging factor? How can is there a guideline or any other kind of thing? How can the youth be filling these gaps in bringing countries together? So I was in Ukraine and I was able to connect India to Ukraine, Ukraine. So that was one of the goals that I was like able to, like being there was able to try to do at least. So so that is something I would like to highlight, and also what I would like to give this floor to our speakers who will be who would like to engage on that question and also share their insights. Yeah, perfect. I think I'll give it to Ihor.
Yeah. Thank you, Gokul. Our discussion is very important because many people, it's good that many people don't know how war looks like because in their country they don't have war for many years. But at the same time, people don't understand how it's to live in a war zone, because it's absolutely another level of war, it's another level of danger, another level of environmental and climate crisis. Like we climate activists of Fridays for Future, we every day have a danger to lose our life from Russian rockets and Iranian drone Shaheds. And also, it's important that all technologies which Russia and imperialists and their allies use in Ukraine, they will use in the nearest future in other parts of the world. Like in Iranian drones, they use technologies to bomb Middle East countries. They will don't have possibility to make this effective without trying this technology in Ukraine. And also, many global conflicts and many global problems in one period of time, they were not so global and not so dangerous. That's why it's important to prevent global conflicts, prevent global problems, then try to solve them in the most powerful point of point when they became global problems. And also, peace is not just something we make forever. We must protect our rights, our freedom, our independence every day and prevent dangerous situation with this. So if you have a possibility to visit countries in war conflict, like you please do this. This will change your life, and this will change your ideas, thoughts, etc. Because in only in such countries you can teach how to survive in a very unstable world.
Perfect. Thank you, Ihor, for your intervention. I really understand that visiting Ukraine will be like really insightful on how the war is affecting people. I have been there, so I know that it will be changing how the situation, like experiencing this kind of situation on ground, in real impact, like that will change your perspective of how the people are being affected. So we have a question on ground, and also we have one online as well. So Daniel Kamal, can you go ahead with your question, or you can just put in the chat, or you can go ahead. Danny, okay.
Okay,
so we'll go.
am I audible?
Yeah, I can. You're audible.
Okay, so hello everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you are. So, well, this is Mohammad Daniel Kamal, and I'm currently a master researcher at Xi'an University in China. And my question is to all three of you, the experts. So my question is more of like a critical thinking. My question is like, should governments prioritize military spending or climate adaptation during the times of crisis?
Should prioritize military spending or climate adaptation during the time of crisis. So Sakshi has raised her hand, so she wanted to go ahead with this question. Please, Sakshi.
If anyone else wants to take up, then I'm happy to give the floor. But yes, thanks, Daniel. This is quite a a complicated question that you have just raised. I must say that when it's the time of crisis, so I would say I'd better give the example when you are hungry. What do you do? Whether you will go for a plastic bottle, a water bottle, or you will just find a drinking water bottle where you can just drink the water rather than going for the plastic water bottle. It's quite a difficult opinion on this question, but I must say that the when we talk about the in a crisis what a government should do, whether they will go for a climate adaptation or they will go for the military spending, I'd say that government basically in a critical situation, government will decide the go for the military spending rather than the climate adaptation. But now what government is doing, if I take up the Indian government, or maybe I'll quote a few other examples as well. What Indian government is doing, they are currently involving their budget on the military spending, but they are also looking for the how sustainable military spending they are going to do. So that when they are into the crisis, they will adapt. They will have certain regulations on the military spending and on those ammunition and the weapons, so that the all this covering of the weapon ammunition they will consider the sustainability as the priority rather than the secondary aspect. So they can go hand in hand rather than the separating those two words, those two terminologies into a theoretical part. In practicality, they do consider into the one on one hand in a parallel situation. So yes, Indian government do have the consideration, as well as they are now leading to. For example, I'll give you the example of maritime security, where they are going to build the warships on the green shipping as well, and for that reason they are considering these climate threat and the sustainability as their priority to the military spending on the budget as well. So yes, they can go hand in hand. And the crisis, if the border dispute raise, I must say that the peace is the only solution rather than going for the war. So yeah, that's the consideration. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sakshi, for that really insightful input. So, Ihor, do you want to say something?
Yes, I will say that it depends on time, because if you have peaceful time, it's of course better to make more money for fighting against climate crisis. But now, when we have war the sword, and when we don't just wars don't work and work only power of weapon, we must protect ourselves and our countries from authoritarian regimes and other enemies, and without more using money for our defense, we can't survive. Like in Europe, we have problems that Europe don't ready for war against Russia, but Russia every year try to make their best to destroy Europe and to make another pressure of with using of nuclear weapon, etc. And that's why if Europe don't make more money for their defense, they just don't survive. Like Ukraine, if we don't make more money for our defense, we just don't speak with you. So, and at the same time, when we use money for our defense, we at the same time may make more for fighting against climate crisis. For example, Ukrainian army destroyed the Russian oil and gas infrastructure, and at the same time, it's bad for our nature on the short period of time, but on the long period of time, we protect our nature from using of this gas and oil for spoiling our nature, our air, etc. And also we stop Russian war machine against more destruction and more war in other countries and even in other places of our world. That's why in peaceful time we have to make more money for fighting against climate crisis, and in today time, in time of World War II, we have to make more money for our defense, but don't forget about fighting against climate crisis if it's possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ihor, for the input from your side. So I would like to say that I would like to give the floor to Mahross as well. If you guys, if you have anything to say from African side, but for me, I would like to say like strategically spending that will be the main key in making things better, because the peace should be established as well. Without that, if we just go for the climate resilient part, then it will be like too much pressure on the government itself will be happening. What are you guys doing? So it should be like on a balance basis mostly. And like I would like to give the floor to Mahross as well if you have to say something on this topic.
All right, thank you. I think this question is very important, and it is right. First, I can say we cannot talk about climate resilience while we are talking about war. So first we have to end the war and then come back and solve the climate issue, because when we solve the climate issue and the war still ongoing, there is no solution in the sustainable level. So we have to really think about how to definitely solve the problem. So for this one, the governmental side is very important. The army side is very important. We are talking about terrorism in Africa. We are not talking about war. So terrorism, we can fight against the terrorism and then come back and talk about climate solutions. But when we still have war, we still have terrorists who are doing killing people, who are making difficult life, who are creating climate crisis. We cannot talk about adaptation, we cannot talk about mitigation. So first we have to really think about how to definitely solve this problem, especially in Africa, in Lake Chad region. We have to solve definitely the Boko Haram problem, and then go forward to see how we can mitigate, how we can definitely adapt with climate. We was talking about this program. I think a few months ago, we have been to the Lake Chad. We see the situation, and we saw that it is impossible even to help people. It is impossible to work on that area because it is not safe. It is even very difficult for you to work on the street during the day and during the night. So we cannot really talk about climate mitigation, climate adaptation on that situation. So first we have to work with our governments, and as I told before, we have to really advocate in the national level, in the international level, to come together to bring solutions on the table. And then after that, we can talk about how to solve the climate issues. But while there's still war, I don't think we can talk about climate adaptation. So this is my point of view. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mahross, for the input. So I think we are going to end the session today. From our side, it's like, thank you so much for everyone joining in. So the session's ending, I would like to say it's very key thing that everyone said, like peace is the first thing to come, peace is the first thing to say before even we speak about climate action, because that is, without that we cannot go to a community and say climate action, let's do, because some issues will be always happening. So with this session ends here with saying that peace first, then climate action goes with that. Thank you so much for everyone who's joining in. Thank you so much everyone online and offline. And thank you so much for the SLYCAN Trust for making this happen in this space of SB64 in the side event space. Thank you for the gallery, stage gallery as well. Thank you. Thank you everyone joining in. Bye.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Bye, bye,
Take
bye.
care.
That's it.
Anyways.